Hey, what's going on, everybody? Hey, so we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna start this webinar, but we're gonna, allow some people some time to get here, so we can have a little party together. All right, so we'll give it a couple of seconds, probably about 30 seconds, and then we'll kick this thing off. Well, I think we're starting to get people starting to roll in right now, so that's a good thing. All right, all right, all right, all right. And my Matthew McConaughey voice. All right. Hey, so welcome everybody to the webinar. So, a couple of things before we get started. I love all your questions, and I want to make sure that everybody has their fair share of trying to ask any questions that they may have. So, down at the bottom right hand corner, you guys will find the widget for the chat, and I want to make sure that everybody has that opportunity. So, go ahead and drop any questions that you guys have in the chat. I'll be asking some questions, trying to get everybody's feedback, and we're gonna at the end try to roll back and answer some of those questions that you guys were asking in the chat. Make sure you guys stay tuned, because at the end we're going to do a Picmonic subscription giveaway 1 year for free. All right, so make sure you guys are present for that. And also, if you don't make this webinar, which if you didn't make the webinar, you wouldn't be here anyway, but this webinar is going to be recorded and it's going to be available on YouTube, and that link is going to be sent to your email. And finally, make sure you guys stay tuned, because I have a special promotion for you guys at the end. So welcome, welcome, welcome. It's that time of the year. We're in May. Mostly everybody is graduating. So what does that mean? Everybody's preparing for the NCLEX. So if you guys made it this far, first off, let me tell you congratulations. I understand. Of all people, I understand the journey and how hard and how the studying goes for you to get there. It took me a while to get there, but everybody's journey is different. I don't care if this is your first time taking the NCLEX. I don't care if this is your 10th time taking the NCLEX. I love for the fact that you're here, because you are taking your journey into your own hands in order for you to be successful. So if you guys don't know who I am, my name is Kevin, AKA the Boot Nurse. I did that for my friend. I'm never doing that again. So my name is Kevin. I am currently an active duty Navy hospital corpsman. I have been in the Navy for 13 and a half years, but who's counting? Definitely not me. I enrolled in nursing school in 2017 and I graduated in 2018, but my journey actually really truly started in 2012, but that's a whole different story. And I actually got my nursing license in June of 2020 during the pandemic. So, and I was able to do my clinicals and everything at my local hospital here while I was working full time as a surg tech instructor. So for those who said that they can't get through nursing school or they can't do anything because they're so busy with work or they have kids, hey, I just want to let you guys know, I had a family, everything was good to go. As long as you guys have a good support system, you guys will be good to go and able to accomplish anything that you guys are trying to do. And currently I work in a burn ICU. If you ever get the chance to work in a burn ICU or even rotate or do anything like that, it's definitely a rewarding area for any nurse or any corpsman or any tech or any CNA, whoever. It's definitely a rewarding place to work, to take care of those people with such high acuity. So, shocker, I failed my NCLEX. Boo-hoo. We're not going to cry about how many times Kevin failed his NCLEX. But what we are going to talk about is how I failed my NCLEX 3 times and how I was able to overcome that, and how I was able to understand NCLEX-style questions. So when I failed my NCLEX, I thought I was a failure. But then, I talked to a couple of people who were already in the position of where I wanted to be, and they told me I wasn't, and they told me that I could do this, and I just needed to change up something different. So while I was studying for my NCLEX, I came across Picmonic's YouTube channel. The YouTube channel was fantastic. I used a couple of videos while I was in nursing school, but I didn't use the program the way that I wanted to when I was in nursing school, because in reality, I just didn't know about it. And another thing, it's when you become a nurse or when you become a nursing student, you never realize how much more extra money you have to spend. But then I realized that if I would have used Picmonic, I could have had Picmonic for 2 or 3 years, like super duper cheap, like anywhere from like $3 to $4 a month. Most of y'all spend more on Starbucks every day. Yeah, y'all know who I'm talking to. So, you know, they have really good stuff. They have really good deals. And another thing that I wish I had was this study guide, because this study guide right here actually tells you like what to study, when to study it, how long to study it. So it kind of gives you a blueprint and a step by step. So if you guys get the chance to ever take a look at that, it's absolutely fantastic. So the workbook is great. My favorite character, if you guys don't know, it's Pencil Villain, because I really love Rick and Morty and it reminds me of Pencilvester. I know the artist got that from Rick and Morty. I don't care what nobody says. So Pencilvester, Pencil Villain, that's what I always say. I actually have the Pencil Villain shirt. I'm not wearing it now, but I wear it all the time. And people ask me where I got the shirt, and I'm like, read the website. So if I got any Rick and Morty fans in there, go ahead and drop some Rick and Morty stuff in the chat, and we'll, you know, kind of get a little thing talking about. But we're going to be talking more about NCLEX style questions. So while you guys are here, and why you guys are here, we're here to talk about NCLEX style questions, right? So the biggest thing about NCLEX style questions is that NCLEX style questions are critical questions. They are used to stimulate your mind, and they're used to make you think about what you need to do to take care of your patient. And I'm pretty sure all your instructors will all tell you that same exact thing, is that you need to be able to make a good clinical judgment on what patient you would need to see first, or what is best for your patient, or when it comes to those good old select all that apply, or what they like to call the Satan questions, because they are the bane of everybody's existence, about knowing those things on how to answer those questions. So first tip, when it comes to answering questions, knowing the difference between first and best questions. So best would be my second tip, but we'll talk about the first question first, right? So I'll give you a prime example. Usually when we say first, it's in a systematic approach. It is a step 1, step 2, step 3, so on and so forth. So if I gave you an example of your patient is complaining of having difficulty breathing, what is the first thing the nurse should do, right? So if I'm telling you what is the first thing I should do, it is the least to the most invasive, right? So if I say, what is the first thing that you should do? Should I lift head of bed, or should I give O2? Go ahead and put your answers down in the chat, and let's see what you guys are putting. Yeah, I see it. Yeah, a lot of head of bed. Yeah, because I want to lift the head of bed because I want the patient to be able to get that full expansion of their lungs, right? So they can get that oxygen exchange. Because if I don't have to give oxygen, then I won't, because oxygen is considered a medication, right? A lot of people don't realize that, but oxygen is considered a medication, right? So anytime that I have who should I see first, or what should I do first, just know that everything is in a systematic approach, right? So things to remember when it comes to to answering first questions is like ADPI, right? So you want to assess, and then you want to take it all the way through that approach as well, right? And then when it comes to who do I see first? So here's a good example. Who do I see first in regards to, do I do ABCs or massive hemorrhage? So here's a good example. I have a patient with COPD who has a O2 saturation of 87%, who has an arterial bleed to the left femoral artery, right? Or I have a patient who is 17 years old who is having an asthma attack but has an O2 saturation of 92, right? So which one of those patients would I see first? Go ahead and give me those answers. First patient. COPD. Now remember, are we seeing them for COPD, or are we seeing them for the bleeding? Yeah, we're seeing them for the bleeding, because which one of these issues is going to cause them to die first? Am I going to die from bleeding out, or am I going to die from having an O2 saturation of 92 or 86? Right, absolutely. The bleeding. Yes, 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 yes. That's fantastic. You guys are doing great down there. So just know, when it comes to first questions, who do I see first, or what is the first thing that the nurse should do? It is always in a systematic approach. Now, second tip, we'll talk about best questions. Like, what is the best thing that the nurse should do? And everybody should know this phrase if you guys are in this part of school or when you guys are about to graduate. If I could do one thing and leave, what would it be? And remember, that one thing before you leave is what will be the best thing to make sure your patient stays stable. Because I'll give you an example. What if, you're doing something and then they were just like, hey, we need your help, but you need to take care of your patient first. What's the best thing I could do to take care of my patient before they leave, right? So here's another good example. You have a patient, I'll revert back to the same example that I did with COPD, right? So you have a patient who has COPD. No, I'll back up. You have a patient who is 17 years old and complains of difficulty breathing, right? So what is the best thing that the nurse should do? Remember, best. Should I lift the head of bed, or should I apply O2? Yeah, 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 absolutely. Apply that O2, right? Because that is the best thing that I could do for that patient. If they had an O2 saturation of 92, and if I gave them O2, it could bring their O2 saturation up to 99. And then you could go handle what you need to handle and then come back. Remember, if I could do one thing and leave, what would it be? And that's exactly what it would be. It would be to give the patient O2, right? You guys are doing great down there. And so when it comes to those questions, just make sure you guys remember the differences, because I know, at least for me personally, those were the things that killed me. And for all of my individuals who already work like as LPNs, or if you're a graduate nurse and you guys have been working like during the pandemic, remember that this test is perfect world. Like, and a lot of you are going to answer like, that doesn't make any sense. And the reason why I say that is because that was the hardest thing for me to grasp. I was like, that doesn't make any sense. That doesn't happen in the real world. And that was, I believe, a lot of factors that caused me not to do well when I took the exam the first 3 times. So just make sure that you turn that real world switch off and you do that perfect book world. And if you can stay on that perfect book world, you're going to do fantastic, right? So my third tip, select all that apply questions, the ones that are the bane of everyone's existence. I know it's mine. So a couple of things with NCLEX, and I know that they changed over the last couple of years. I want to say since 2017, that it used to be where you could pick one. It was never only one, and it was never all of them. And when 2017 happened, it's either one, few, or all of them. So that's the first thing. Second thing, I want to go ahead and shut this myth down that they say that you can get partial credit on a select all that apply questions. That is absolutely false. You cannot get partial credit at all. It's either you get the whole thing right or the whole question's wrong. Trust me, I wish that a select all apply was like partial credit. I probably would have passed the first time. You know what? This isn't about me, but I'm just saying that just remember that just remember that, right? That I'm shutting that myth down. And who is that? Yeah, it is. They are supposed to be changing next year or 2023, somewhere in between that time. And then, hey, when that changes and all the NCLEX stuff changes, hey, I'll pop up on here and do another webinar, and we'll try to do some updates, right? All right. Now, so here's some things to remember about select all apply. This is where knowing your content is paramount. So the example that I like to give is the roles and responsibilities of the RN, the LPN or LVN, or the CNA, or what they like to call the UAP, which is an unlicensed assistant personnel, right? So you need to know and understand who can do what, right? So here's my question to all of you guys. Who can teach? Let me hear it. Let me see them. The RN, right? Now, can the LVN or LPN teach? No. The LPN or LVN can reinforce. Absolutely. They can reinforce what the RN teaches, right? Can an LVN or LPN give IV medications? No. Can an LVN or LPN give PO medications? IM medications? Can they give medications through a feeding tube? Absolutely. Now, can LPNs give blood? No. Who can give blood? The RN, right? Remember, with an RN, it's two RNs that have to verify when it comes to blood. And I know a lot of you guys are just like, man, this is like super simple. But when it comes to those select all that apply, and then it puts on one of those things like, hey, can the UAP, oh, as a matter of fact, here we go. Can the UAP pick up blood from the blood bank? Yes. Yes, they most definitely can pick up blood from the blood bank. And the reason why I say that is because when I was practicing, I specifically remember that question, and I got that question wrong because I didn't think that the UAP could pick up blood. I thought an LPN could, but a UAP can go and pick up blood. But remember, it's only an RN with a second verification from another RN that can administer the blood, right? Yeah. Yeah. Hey, look, I'm dropping them. I'm dropping gems, dropping them all the time. I'm just dropping them because I remember them. I'm just saying. I just want, hey, I'm looking out for y'all. I want y'all, hey, I want y'all to be great. I want y'all to do everything, right? So, and here's the biggest thing that I like to say. And if you guys came to the last webinar that I did, I have this little saying that I learned in the Navy, going through my schools. And my instructors are just being the, I like to say the salty dogs that they are. And if anybody in here is active duty military or have been anything military affiliated, you guys will know exactly what I'm talking about. But RTFQ, hey, hoorah Marines, RTFQ, right? I'm not going to say, hey, if you know what RTFQ means, go ahead and put it in the chat and give Heather a hard time. I'm just playing. Don't give Heather a hard time. Heather's great. But if you know what RTFQ means, go ahead and put it down there. And if you think you know what it means, go ahead and put it down there. And the reason why I say that is because if anything, what we all do is that we'll get halfway through the question and be like, oh, I know the answer. And I'm going straight to the answer. No. Read the question. Yeah, read the full question. We'll go with that. Read the full question. Hey, I like that. I might just take that one. Yeah. So read the entire question, because when it comes to answering any question, you always pay attention to the modifying phrase than the original noun. The modifying phrase is at the end of the question. The original noun would be at the beginning of the question, right? So remember, you pay more attention to the modifying phrase, because the modifying phrase will tell you, hey, which one should I do first? Or which one is best, right? Or when it comes to medications, I have a patient who is on metoprolol. What is metoprolol? Beta blocker, right? It's a beta blocker. So metoprolol, LOL. When it comes to giving a beta blocker, what is a side effect of giving a beta blocker? Yes. So if I'm looking at that, so if I am giving metoprolol, what is the first thing I should do before administering metoprolol? Yes, I want to check that, right? That is the first thing, right? So if I have a question that says, your patient is on metoprolol, right? What is the best thing the nurse should do? And usually if somebody has low blood pressure, but if I give you questions like, if I give you answers such as call chaplain, that's called what? by getting somebody else in, that's called what? Does anybody know? Can anybody tell me? Passing the buck, absolutely. So we don't ever pass the buck. I'm gonna call chaplain. I'm going to do something else. I'm going to lower the bed and raise the side rails or something like that. Remember, safety when it comes to stuff like that. But remember, you have to read the question to see what they're asking. Hey, you have a patient who has a blood pressure of 100/60, right? What is the best thing that the nurse should do? What is the best thing that the nurse should do? Hold the meds or check the blood pressure, right? But you could have both of those. You could have both of those answers. You could be like, hey, you could check the blood pressure, but think about it. I just gave you the blood pressure in the question, right? I just gave, you have a patient who has a blood pressure of 100/60. What is the best thing that the nurse should do? Check blood pressure. I don't need to check the blood pressure because it's already there, right? And remember, when you read the question, don't read far into the question. Read exactly what they're asking and answer it. So the answer for that one would be to hold the medication because you already have the blood pressure right there. It's probably not even going to ask you to hold that. And it's so simple. It's just so simple. And the reason why I say it's so simple is because I look back and I'm just like, wow, how could I have not gotten that? And how did I miss something that to me now is just so easy because I put it into clinical practice, right? So just remember, select all that apply, know the content for what they're asking, answer them, know that you're going to have to answer at least one, a few, or all of them. All right. And if you know what the content is, you're going to be 9 times out of 10, you're going to know exactly which ones to pick. And here's a real good one. If you don't know, don't pick it. If you're sitting there and you're just like, well, they could do it. Nope, that's not it. That's not what they're asking. If you don't know, don't pick it. Right. All right. Couple of additional tips. Right. So I already told you guys, pay more attention to the modifying phrase in the original now, right? When it comes to prioritization, stable versus unstable, what makes a patient unstable? What makes a patient stable? Easy, right? You already know what makes a patient unstable, right? Massive hemorrhage makes a patient unstable. Okay, so acute versus chronic, right? So acute means emergent, right now, happening. I need to fix it. Chronic, they've been living with this for a while. As long as they're okay, they can go over here while I take care of somebody else, right? Okay, and then there's that. Something else that's very simple. You guys know that the counter that it has where it tells you like what question that you're on, or the timer where it tells you like, hey, you have 4 hours to take this quiz or 4 hours to do this. It doesn't matter if you're using UWorld, Archer, Kaplan, Hearst, whatever. They all have them. When you take the NCLEX, it has that same exact thing. Turn them off. Something so simple can ease your anxiety. And another reason is when you're practicing or when you're doing all your questions, you're going to get into a rhythm. You're going to have, it's kind of like having that internal clock where you just wake up. You're going to go into that rhythm. When I was taking my exam, I had already taken them off. And when I was practicing, I literally sat like this the whole time. And I was just click, 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 click. Before I knew it, I was already an hour into it and I was done. Yes, you can turn them off. You can, there's like a little asterisk there where it'll essentially make it disappear, but you could turn it back on. Like it has like a little asterisk. You'll see it when you guys go and take your NCLEX. You will see it, and it'll give you the option to turn the counter off as well as turn the timer off. Right, so that right there can help you ease your anxiety. Another thing, it's an adaptive test. I've seen people ask, "Hey, what did you get on the test?" Hey, I'm in a bunch of Facebook groups, and I hear people ask, what did you get on the test? The test is adaptive. So it all depends on you. If you start getting questions wrong, you're going to get easier questions. Easier questions does not mean you're passing. Critical questions means that you are passing. Those delegation, those pharmacological questions, management of care, so on and so forth, right? You got to be hitting those. They have to be above the line of passing, okay? And remember that you're not perfect. You're not supposed. Remember, you are a grad nurse. You are not supposed to know everything. You are not supposed to know what Winky Bach is, but you are expected to know what asystole is. You are expected to know what VTAC looks like, what VFib looks like. Like, you are supposed to know the bare minimum of the bare minimum. You want to know why? I work in an ICU and I am the youngest person there when it comes to experience. And I'm still learning every day. Okay. So you don't need to know everything. And it's okay if you don't know everything. All right. And if you don't understand what the question is asking, go read the answers and then go back and read the question. Because a lot of times the answers can help you understand what the question is actually asking. Okay. Now, time for some Q&A. I want to see what you guys are asking. And I'm going to try to give you as many answers as I can. So first question, is there a way to find out what kind of EKG strips the NCLEX may ask about, such as arrhythmias? So here's the question. The NCLEX itself has like 6,000 questions. 6,000. If you're doing extremely well on your NCLEX, they could throw out like, second degree, heart block, or second degree Mobitz, or something super duper crazy like that. Or for those who don't know Winky-Bach, they could throw those at you as well. So there's no way to tell exactly what is going to be on it. However, you do need to know what everybody else knows, which is the basics: asystole, VTAC, VFib, SVT, right? Like, does anybody know what unifocal means? I didn't know what unifocal meant until I started working in ICU. Also got to know about PVCs. Thank you, right? So you got to know about those. So that was a good question. Can you miss all the SATA but get all the regular questions right and pass? So once again, it all depends on you and how you answer questions. First time I took the NCLEX, I swear, I think I had like 45 to like 50 select all that apply questions. And it was the worst day, at least that day. It was just not a good day for me. So I had select all apply questions over and over and over and over and over. But when I took my NCLEX this last time, I had 9 select all apply questions, 9, and I was rolling through it, right? So it all just depends on you. It's a toss of a coin, to be honest. It is literally the toss of a coin if you get select all apply questions. I've seen people get select all apply questions for the majority of their tests and still pass. But once again, it depends on you. It's a journey. It could be a struggle. I was like, you're going to go the distance. And if you go the distance when it comes to these questions, that's okay. Just know that you are doing the best that you can, and you're going to push through it. All right. That was a good question. How do you study pharm? That is a fantastic question. For me, pediatrics and pharmacology are the worst. What people don't realize is that management of care, pharmacology, and physiological adaptation makes up 40 to 49% of the NCLEX itself, and as part of that 8 for the NCLEX pie. When it comes to pharmacology, it's knowing your classes of drugs and knowing what families they are. So it took me a while to kind of figure that out. So for example, when it comes to cardiac meds, I know that, here's an example, anything that ends in LOL, we know is a beta blocker, right? So it doesn't matter if they say metoprolol, propranolol, doesn't matter. As long as it's LOL, I know that it's a beta blocker. With a beta blocker, I know that I'm looking at heart rate, I'm looking at blood pressure. If it comes to them trying to get out of bed and move, it's in regards to safety, because a drop in blood pressure can make a patient dizzy. And if they're up walking around, then they could become a fall risk, so on and so forth. So it's all about knowing the families and the categories for which they fall in, right? So, what are the other ones? Depines. What's a depine? Yes, orthostatic hypotension. Yes. What is a depine? calcium channel blocker, right? What is the biggest thing about calcium channel blockers? It slows your heart rate down, right? It relaxes your heart, right? So yeah, so that's when it comes, like anything ending in dipene is a calcium channel blocker. What about my ARBs? Right? Yeah, absolutely. Right? My prills, yes, absolutely. What are my prills? Right? Blood pressure medication, ACE inhibitors, uh, proton inhibitors, like all those things. The cardiac meds are probably the biggest, me personally, that I have seen for the time uh for the time that I took them. Yes, PPIs, absolutely, right? That so when it comes to studying pharmacology, know those steps. Okay. I heard that there's 15 questions that don't count. They're more as survey. Is this correct? That is true. During COVID, they got rid of those 15 questions because they were trying to eliminate the amount of the length that you had to stay in the testing center. So when I took my NCLEX for the third time, I only got 60 questions. That doesn't make me lucky because I've seen people get 60 questions that took the NCLEX during that time and they still failed. So there are survey questions, so you're going to get a minimum of 75 questions, but you will not know what those questions are. And the mentality that I want you to have is that I don't want you going into this test thinking that, oh, I only got to get 60 right. You need to go in there being like, I need to get all 75 right. Don't go in there trying to shortchange yourself, because you will never know which one of those questions is a survey question. And those questions are put there because they're test questions, so they can use them in future tests. Okay. Please give an example of a perfect world. Oh, as in a perfect world question. An example of a perfect world question. Yeah, that's right. Everything is available to you. Stay with your patient. You always have the meds. You always have the equipment. You always have the help. Everybody is there. Anything that you need, doctor, whoop, here he is. Chaplain, whoop, here he is. Whoever, right? Everything, every hand that you could possibly think of. See, this is why I love the chat, because you guys pick up where I fell off, and I appreciate you. So remember, you have everything, right? Hey, we need to do chest compressions. Hey, guess where the board's going to be? Whoop, right next to you, just like that, right? So there it is. I think I saw one question pop up there where it said anxiety tips, like some tips for your anxiety. So at least for me, what I did the day before the exam is I didn't study. I didn't do anything. I put everything away. I prepared. Prepared my clothes. I freaking put my ID card on top of it. I went to bed. I took a melatonin. Shout out to melatonin. And I went to bed at like 8 o'clock. And like that was just like really great for me, because when I woke up refreshed. You know, everybody's going to have those pre-game butterflies, and that's okay, because this is a big deal. It's a big test, and it's an expensive test. I'm not even going to tell you how much money I spent. You guys know, right? So just make sure that you guys have that pre-planned out for yourself. Like I sat and I watched, I don't know, I think I watched anime. I don't know. Anybody that's a big anime fan, go ahead and drop your anime favorite one in the chat so I know what's up. Attack on Titan is ruling right now. So that's what I did, at least for myself. Some other people, Death Note's good. Some other people, they did their own thing. They go work out, or like one girl I know, she went to a hotel and she stayed there by herself and left her 3 kids and her husband at the house. She was just like, sorry, I don't know what you want from me. Like, you're going to take care of the kids and I'm going to be doing my thing. So there are multiple ways to do it. The one thing I will say to not do is drink. Don't go out there and drink and party and thinking that you can do X, Y, and Z, because that ain't it, right? So try to, as much as possible, try to relax the night before and just know that you're going to be okay. You're going to be totally fine, right? Do we get something to write on when answering questions or doing math? Yes, you do. So I don't know if anybody's ever been to prison. I've never been to prison. Let me stop. So in regards to when you guys get there, they will give you a marker, as well as they will give you a like a laminate sheet, and you get to write on it. The only thing is you can't erase it. They have to come and take it from you. So everything that you do, they'll provide you. All right. So you'll get a marker, and then you can data dump. I like data dump it. Like if you know whatever little things that you need to know, write it. That way, when it comes, boom, you know whatever little ditty that you use to help you remember, your pharmacology drugs, or if you know like your the roles and responsibilities for a RN, LPN, and a UAP. So you can do all that. Yes, you do get a calculator, but the calculator is on the computer. Next question. May I ask what will be a priority temp for a 38 Celsius and a blood pressure of 145/70? I'm not necessarily sure what that question's asking. I'll come back to that one. Will there be COVID topics on the NCLEX this year? No, there will not be. Now, if you want to know the most up-to-date information when it comes to the NCLEX, and I don't know if there's anybody in Canada, I'm pretty sure those rules still apply to you guys as well, or if there's anybody that's in Africa and those rules can apply to you guys as well. Make sure you guys check the ncsbn.org website, because they give the most up-to-date information on what can be or what is going to be on the test. It's a long document. No one ever reads it. It's kind of like when you agree to Apple's terms and services. Nobody reads it. They just click agree and then they just go on about their day. If you want to know that answer, you got to go and you got to read that document. Okay. I'm a repeat test taker. I started learning Kaplan decision tree in March, but I noticed that my scores have gotten worse. Tips on how I can improve my score. So here's the thing about the decision tree is if you've been studying away for a long time, it's kind of like trying to teach an old dog new tricks. You have to trust that process if you're going to be using Kaplan. When I first did the decision tree, I was doing horrible. I think my first exam, I got like a 46. And the next, I had a 47 and a 48. And then by the time I was probably like 10, 12, 15 quizzes in, I was getting 54s, 55. Then I got a 67. And then I stayed in the 60s the entire time. And then at some point I ended up getting like high 50s, low 60s. So you just have to trust the process when it comes to using the decision tree. You can use the decision tree on anything. If you got UWorld, Archer, whatever, you can use it. Are there doses calculations questions? Yes, there are. On this last time when I took the exam, I didn't get any. But the first 3, I got a couple. There's some people I know that don't get any. There's some people that get a lot. There's one girl I know, she only got 2. And she was just like, I wish I would have had more because I'm a math whiz. And I was just like, well, some of us don't math well, Rhonda. I don't know if her name is Rhonda, but some of us don't math well. So go on and do your math somewhere else. What do you think about UWorld? Look, let me talk to you about UWorld, right? UWorld is fantastic when it comes to their rationales, right? However, UWorld only provides questions and rationales. If you are a person who is lacking content, and by content, I mean the stuff that's in the book, so you can understand, it is not going to help you. I used UWorld the first time, the second time, and the third time. And it just didn't work for me. And then when I did work, and then what did work was Mark Klimek and Kaplan, and then all the YouTube videos with Picmonic and all this other good jazz, right? So it depends on you. If you know content, get you a test bank, save yourself the money if that's what you want to do. But if you know that you're lacking content, get you something that can provide the content and everything. Like some of us got to be, hand walked. Me, Kevin, I had to be hand walked. Sometimes I'm like a toddler and I get lost and somebody got to point me in the right direction. And that's what happened. And that's how it was. For some reason, the last time it just clicked. And when it clicked, And then when I passed, I was like, oh, that was easy. And then that was short-lived because now I'm trying to figure out what else I want to do in my life, right? So it all just depends on you. Last question. I know you guys are asking a lot of questions and I would love to answer them all, but Heather's going to kick me out. So everybody give Heather some love for helping me out. Do you recommend taking the RN practice test on the NCSBN website? So the NCSBN, they're the ones who make the test, right? So what better place to get the test or a practice test than from the source? Sometimes it could just be that easy. I personally didn't use it when COVID had broke out and they were, kind of just making, putting stuff on halt. NCSBN was giving their stuff away for free for like 30 days. And I think now like everybody is starting to kind of like, hey, give us money now. So it all just depends on you, if you have the budget for it and if you want to do it. So it all just depends on you. So unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, that is the last question that I could take. I wish I could answer so many more, but I can't because the VIP Heather is just like, hey, we got to make some stuff work. And I'm just like, I got you. So now we have a winner to announce, right? So the winner, drum roll, please. The winner of the 1-year free subscription to Picmonic Premium is Kendra Williams. Kendra Williams. So shout out and congratulations to Kendra Williams. Heather is going to be reaching out to you via email if she hasn't already, so she can get you all hooked up on your subscription. And for those who didn't get hooked up with the subscription, don't worry, I got you. Heather should have already put in the chat a promotion for anybody to get Picmonic for the next 24 hours for 30% off. And the great thing about it being 30% off is that you can get you a 2-year subscription to Picmonic and only pay like $2 a month. You see what I'm saying? I spend more money on Funimation a month, and y'all know what I'm talking about for all my anime heads, okay? So, but that promo is only good for 24 hours, right? So make sure you guys click that link. And if you guys don't click the link, it'll be sent to your email for you guys to claim that. I want to thank everybody for coming out. I know this is a stressful time for everybody, but I appreciate you guys taking your time to come and just kind of listen to my story and try to give you guys some tips and whatever that you guys needed to get from this, either if it's motivation or if it's just reassurance for the fact that you can do this. And I'm telling you right now that you guys can do this. If you guys ever want to talk to me, you guys can find me at The Boot Nurse on Instagram, and I have one on Facebook. If you guys see me on Facebook groups, just go ahead and give me a shout out or go ahead and talk to me. I also have a YouTube channel. I've been kind of slacking on the videos because I've had a lot of stuff go on, but I'm picking that stuff back up. So make sure you guys follow me on all that good stuff. I'm super active. I like to reply and talk to everybody as much as I can. You guys are very, very welcome. And if I don't see you before then, I'm going to tell every single one of you guys, congratulations. Welcome to being a registered nurse or a licensed practical nurse. And I will see you guys out there. Also, happy Nurses Week. Later.